this point. I'm really not sure. Hopefully, I'm so sorry, guys. We're having internet issues. We're waiting for Sam to jump on, and if we can't get it going, sometimes today is just not going to be the day. But anyways, welcome to Women Crush Wednesday, sponsored by Gym Plus Coffee. We have a different type of interview today, maybe more emotional. It's been really hard for me the past month with a lot of the stuff that I've been going through. Very public about what I've been going through. I've been trying to just sort of navigate it all, but there we go. We've got Sam Schacher. Hi, Sam.
Better?
I think we're okay. I think we made it.
I am so sorry. I just left work, and even though I work on a television show, there's zero service in that studio or that parking lot or the neighborhood surrounding that studio. I am so sorry.
No, don't apologize. I mean, look, this is the beauty of being able to do this kind of thing, because you can kind of do it from anywhere. I'm outside a hospital, and we'll get into all of that. I brought my tissues. I don't know if you might need them, but
I use my.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you? And I say okay in a very loaded way. How are you?
It's funny because I get that question a lot now, all the time. Like, how are you doing? You're stressed. I see that you're, for people that are close to me that know, like, what's going on behind the scenes. I've had that question asked a ton. And I think the older I get, the more I feel like I can't lie about it. I have to be honest. So I try to be really like, okay, yeah, I'm surviving. I feel like I'm just hanging in there. That tends to be the answer that I give to a lot of people when they ask. But that was part of why I wanted to have you on, because you are so amazing. Like, you've been a friend of mine for so many years. And what I love about Women Crush Wednesday is we get a chance to profile women who do amazing things. And this year has been a remarkably difficult, challenging year for you with what you've had to go through. And yet you balance everything. You have 2 kids. You own a very popular candle company, Wicked Candles, with your husband. And then you're a host on a very popular TV show. But the stuff that's really challenging for you is the stuff behind the scenes. Can you kind of share with us what's been going on for you this past year?
So 2021 has been a nightmare. Of course, there's been beautiful moments and gratitude. And so, 2 people that I love the most, both of my sisters were affected pretty heavily this year. And, I'll start with the positive. My sister, we've been very forthright, so I'm not violating anyone's privacy by talking about this. One of my sisters battled breast cancer, and she's such a warrior, and she beat it. But that doesn't take away the toll that it's created on her or our family, or there's always the mental health aftermath, and and just watching my sister go through the breast cancer has been really excruciating. But the positive is that she's alive today, and she's so strong, and she's helping advocate for other people, despite that she's still enduring her battle, right? The mental health aspect of it. I mean, she just finished her 4th surgery. And then my other sister's husband, Eric, who's he's my brother-in-law, but he is a brother. He was in my wedding, and I've known him forever, and we love him. He's been battling COVID complications for 11 months now. And, it's been, Erin, the excruciating part. Yes, he's alive, and we're so grateful, and I have all the hope in the world for him. The excruciating part is the everyday ups and downs, right? You take 2 steps forward, 4 steps back, 2 steps forward, 4 steps back. And Eric's battle has been very hard because from the get-go, people did not believe he would make it because his COVID was so severe, even though he's healthy and young and all of the above. It got him really bad to the point where at around 2 weeks or 2-3 weeks in, they did not think he was going to make it. And he was on a ventilator at that point. And we advocated to get him transferred so he could have an ECMO machine. If you're not aware, ECMO pretty much takes over. It's full on life support. It takes over the role of the heart and the lungs. But it's it can be somewhere or a bridge to nowhere. Thank God, in our position, it became a bridge to somewhere. But forever, he was on that ECMO machine, and almost 4 months, and things weren't improving. So that was excruciating. So the next step is to get somebody qualified for a double lung transplant. And you can't just say, oh, let's give them a double lung transplant. No, like you have to be, so you hope that you can get them qualified. You hope they become a candidate. And then you hope that once they become qualified, that you can find someone that would do it. And COVID lungs are a lot different than normal lungs. So nobody really at that time wanted to take a chance on COVID lungs and a double lung transplant. Thank God UC San Francisco did, but people didn't know if air flight there. So we air flighted him from a different hospital in Seattle to San Francisco. He made the air. And then you're in that waiting game is, oh my gosh, is he going to qualify? Once he qualified, then you have to wait for these precious organs. And that's even like a weird, that someone has to die in order to save your loved one. So that's complicated. And I was with Eric when they woke him up from his coma, holding his hand, telling him that, he's been in a coma for 4 months and he's going to need 2 new lungs. And the poor guy was like, beside himself. But even at that point, when you qualify for a transplant, you don't know when you're going to get those precious organs. And, if one little thing happened, Eric would have been delisted. So he was number 1 on the list, like you get a score. He was a 99, which means he's the most critical of the critical in his region, which means as soon as these precious organs were available, they would have gone to him. But if anything would have delisted him, like let's say his liver would have gone, his kidney would have gone, which was all very much happening, his heart would have gone. So it was that fight or flight for about 10 days until he qualified. He got the double lung transplant, fast forward. He survived the crazy surgery, and he's really well. And now we're back at square one. Now, his body rejected those lungs. He aspirated. And so now he's back on a ventilator, was on a coma. He got woken up from the coma recently, but he's kind of like, right. And it's just, it's a waiting game. As my sister, his wife, likes to, doesn't like to say, but what she often says is we're in God's waiting room. So we're just waiting, hoping that he beats this again. So, and he has kids, my niece and nephew, and we're just being positive and trying to hold out hope, but, it's definitely been difficult, to say the least. So, and I know Erin.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely relate to exactly what you said. And I brought tissues because I knew I was going to be emotional. And I'm not someone, it's funny because, you mentioned both your sisters and you've been very open about praying for your brother-in-law. I did not know if my dad wanted me to talk about this. And I don't think he would because he's a very proud man. But I felt like I needed to sort of explain why I needed to take a break, like a step back. I couldn't really work like the way I should be able to work because I know I need to be here. So it was hard for me because I knew I was really struggling with what I'm going through and the ups and downs and feeling like I didn't really want to talk about it or who could I talk about it with. A lot of people don't know sort of what you're going through until they go through it themselves. And so for those that may not know, my dad was diagnosed with lymphoma in April. And he beat it, and he was good. And he was in remission in June. And then in October, he was having some cognitive issues where my mom and I, mind you, I lost my brother a year ago. So it's just mom and I. And we noticed Dad having some issues mobility-wise and certainly cognitively. We were like, this doesn't make any sense. It just chemo brain, right? Because he just had chemo. So when we brought him into the hospital, the doctor diagnosed him with CNS lymphoma. CNS lymphoma is like a lymphoma that goes to the brain with a very poor prognosis. And it felt like he just retired in October 4th, and then 3 days later he goes into the hospital with news like this, and you're like left trying to wonder, what could you have done differently? How did this happen? And you're exactly right. It's like you make all these steps forward, and then you sort of fall back, and you have to deal with the emotional. It's it's very draining, and I just care about him so much. He's my best friend. He's like the best guy. He's like the nicest guy. He's so wonderful, and so I think what's hard about what we're going through is like we have to compartmentalize, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about. Is you're a TV host. TV hosts don't get enough credit because we're supposed to put on a smiley face, a happy face, and really be present for the show. But TV hosts, broadcasters, all the people that are there to conduct the interview have a whole bunch of crap going on in their own personal life that you guys at home don't know about, because that's not our job is to put on a completely different front. But, no one really talks about the broadcasters who have really sad, maybe depressing stuff, and that the part of the job that comes with being a good broadcaster is actually compartmentalizing, all the other negative stuff that you're going through. My brother last year died during the Raiders bye. So I was so fortunate that I had that week off. But that next week I had to come back to work because we were in COVID. No one had a replacement. And I came back, and the Raiders have been nothing but incredibly supportive with everything that I've been going through. My boss, Marcus, is like, just take time off. And I've been so fortunate that I have that opportunity, because I know a lot of people don't. But how has that been for you with the ups and downs and compartmentalizing? Because it's not just your job, it's you have kids at home too.
Right. Yeah, it's tough. I think I struggle every day. First, I just want to say, Erin, I am so in awe of your strength. And I know you had a hell of a year and a half with your brother, with your dad, the roller coaster with your dad. And by the way, your dad is incredible. I've met your dad a few times, and I just love your dad. And your dad's your dad's amazing. He is strong. He has got this. He is strong. But I think for me, it's a daily battle. How do I be a rock to both of my sisters who are going through way more than I am? And how do I love my job, and I'm so appreciative of the support there, because they are all family. So I don't want to let any of them down. And of course, Erin knows that November is sweeps, right? So it's like, this is the time in TV talk to like put your best content forward, your best everything forward. So, and then the kids, I don't want them to see mommy crying all the time. I don't want them, I want to like focus on, I try my best to focus on the beauty every day. So like, even if, like Monica had a really tough day with, everything she's going through, but, she was able to share in her daughter's birthday, or she was able to post something like a sunset. I go, wow, that's so beautiful that we can always find a silver lining amongst the darkness. And for Erica, I'll talk to her every day, multiple times a day, but when we do updates on a GoFundMe, which has been very cathartic for me, because the updates for me allow me to feel like I have some control in the situation, because you have no control. And if I can somehow help her, verbalize specific prayer, and I have to be honest, my faith before this wasn't nearly as strong as it is now, just in whether you want to call it prayer or affirmation or connectivity or collective consciousness, whatever it may be. It's beautiful, it's special, it's comforting, it works. I've already witnessed miracles. Nobody thought Eric would make it this far. And to be specific in those prayer requests make me feel like I'm compartmentalizing, if that makes sense, because it gives me some control back. And then I'll turn off my phone, not long, because I know it's, Erin, you can't turn off your phone because something can happen at the split of a second. Or maybe I'll silence my phone. I do not turn off my phone, I'll be honest. I'll silence my phone and I'll say, right now I'm going to focus on my kids. And I really do try and follow that. Everybody's different, but I try and do the updates at the end of the night once the kids are in bed. And then that gives me time to really be present with them. So it's a daily battle, Erin. How are you doing it? I don't know. There is no answer. There really isn't.
My therapist made a really good point. She said that you're in a constant state of race.
Yeah.
And what I think she meant by that, or what she means by that, is, since I lost my first brother in 2004 in a motorcycle accident, I got a bad call from my mom, right? She's the one that called me. I was 19, I think, or 20. And she called me and she gave me the bad news. And so I carried a little PTSD with that, where I never liked to let my phone not be answered if my parents called. Like, I just always had to have it nearby just in case because of the PTSD. But then when my other brother passed away last October, that was obviously really hard call for me to get, because I think I spoke to him the day before he passed away. And so that was very close for me, like just being so close to just the last time in terms of getting to communicate with him. And then so now, like for instance, last night, the hospital called me at midnight. I get a call from the hospital. I'm like, that's the call. Like, they're calling to let me know.
Right.
And it wasn't, that was not the call, thank God. But that's where I'm at. Right now.
Right.
I'm at that place where I'm just in a constant state of anxiety because I'm so worried about getting a bad call because I've gotten two already. Yeah.
I know exactly your thoughts on that. I'm my sister's on call, so I have my phone on by my bed, and there's been a few incidents in the middle of the night where they have called Erica with certain news about Eric, and I know exactly the feeling. So
how do you navigate the medical industry? I have to tell you, I'm going to name drop. My girlfriend Clody Bolduc has been an angel warrior for my dad. She's an ER doctor, and she is like a godsend with everything that I've been going through. How has your experience been with the medical industry? Like, I feel like I now could be not a doctor, certainly not a doctor. No way. I mean, what they have to go through and but you get a crash course in understanding how one has to advocate, and then it's almost really frustrating because you learn it real time when like it's life or death, and you wish you would have known these things way before any of this happened.
Yeah, it's I feel like I've definitely gotten a crash course on labs, on COVID, on ventilators, ECMO machines, liver enzymes, white blood count, all of the above. We are very fortunate in that my sister Monica, who's been battling breast cancer and is a survivor, she has been an ER nurse. She's been every nurse under the sun. She's been a nurse forever. She is an incredible nurse and advocate. Then I also have a really dear friend, Dr. Payal Kohli, incredible doctor out here in Denver, Harvard grad, used to actually be at UCSF where Eric is. No coincidence, by the way. It's not like she made a phone call and Eric was at UCSF. In fact, we never even tied those two together until after the fact. And it doesn't work that way. I want people to know that. Everyone's like, oh, so, not everyone, but there has been a few people that are like, oh, so Eric got a double lung transplant because of people. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't, and it shouldn't. That would be calling the entire transplant industry, every doctor out there under the sun, completely unethical. You have a score. You have to qualify. We never knew if Eric was going to qualify, but that's neither here nor there. But Dr. Kohli has been a huge advocate for us, and thank God, because it's really hard to decipher between, are they in the best care? Did they have the best doc? And again, we are so grateful and in debt to every single care team, to every single nurse, to every single doctor. I can't imagine what they've been experiencing over the last 2 years with COVID, with everything. But, who better to advocate for your family than your loved ones, no matter how great a nurse or a doctor is. So, we're up all night, looking for alternative treatments in regard to breathing and lungs and lung tissue, and same with transplants, because 3 hospitals did not think Eric was going to make it. They pretty much said, we've run out of options. So if it weren't for us advocating for him, he wouldn't be where he is today. So we are just praying with everything in us that he does pull through. But just like your situation, Erin, there is a dire reality attached to that. So we have to, go all in with positivity, but, your daily updates with the doctors are definitely sobering.
Sobering, that's a good word to use. How do you know when you need to take a break? Because that's been advice that I've been given, because, I'm at a hospital every day. Every day in October, I've been at a hospital, a different hospital, same hospital. I've been at a hospital every day, and I'm not necessarily eating the right way or even drinking enough. How do you take care of yourself? How do you self-care when you're going through something like this?
Erin, your situation's different because it's your dad, and that doesn't take away from my love for Eric. But I'm not there every day like my sister is, right? So Eric can definitely relate to what you're going through. Erica is the one at the hospital every day, witnessing it, in it, and my heart breaks for her. I cannot imagine what my sister is going through. So for me, I have the privilege of, yes, I'm always on call for her, and yes, I'm involved to the upteenth degree, but I, don't have to be there every day. I am trying to go see Eric.
That's good.
So we're going to fly in, my husband and I, just for the day, see Eric, love on him, decorate his hand. But, you're the one that has to be there every day. And I can't answer that for you. I just know that my sister Erica does not take time for herself. And I just think you're in fight or flight right now, Erin, and you are doing such a good job of putting your family first. I'm so proud of you, because I know you love your job. You work.
I love my job.
You love your job, and you're a hustler.
I love my job.
Yep, but you're taking some time to focus on your family, and I think that's the right thing to do. And of course, the best you can. And I know it's a lot easier said than done. And this is what I tell my sister Erica too: the best you can. Meditate, listen to music, Bob Marley, whatever it may be, to just focus on the little special moments, if there are any, because it's a lot easier to focus on the trauma, right? Like, our mind gravitates towards the trauma and only focusing on the fears. And self-care for you and Erica would be to just breathe and just love on your loved one. That's all the advice I could give. I wish I had other advice, but my heart's broken for you and for Erica, and I just hope that we have happy endings.
Yeah, it is interesting, and we were talking with Sam Schacher, host of Daily Blast Live. You and I have been friends for many, many years. Did I lose you? Okay. I've loved watching your career soar. I've loved watching you advocate for so many different other issues. You're vegan. You're just an all-around amazing human, and I admire you and look up to you in so many ways. And we've been that way for each other. We always send each other voice notes and that sort of thing. And then when all this happened with Eric, your brother-in-law, I just was devastated for the family. And then, you experience it yourself, and it's hard because as a broadcaster, you don't want to miss work. Like, I hate missing work. I love my job. I love the people I work with. And it's really hard to take time away, because as a broadcaster, like, it's not like you're not supposed to. You're supposed to be available. And so the hard decision was making the decision to step away from work. and focus and be here. And I'm so glad that I did, because it relieved me of extra stress that I knew I was dealing with. I was trying to make everybody else happy. And I think that's what self-care is. I think self-care is realizing your intentions are positive. Like, I want to show up for people. I want to be there. I want to do the best job, but I got to take care of me right now. And what I need is to actually just clear my schedule. And if it wasn't for you, I probably wasn't going to do this interview right now, just because I need to be like in my dad's room right now and holding his hand. Um, so I'm glad that, it just was weird that it worked out. Like, I was like, oh my God, Sam, I'm dealing with this. Let's make it a conversation. And I think, with people that go through really crappy situations like this, there's no understanding the why. Like, I asked, like, why me? Like, why my dad? He's like the most amazing guy. I can't understand that. But what I can maybe grasp is that if someone goes through this behind, like, if someone else is going through this, like, at least maybe now I'm prepped to be of service to them as someone that can help. And I'm not like a big proponent of social media, like, don't live your life on social media, but I have gotten really good support from messaging and advocates and friends and people through social media. And that was the reason why I was like, I wouldn't normally talk publicly, like, during something that's so sensitive to me. Like, I just want to protect my dad. I don't want to talk about his situation, and I don't know if he would want me to. So keeping that in mind, I've always been trying to be like super respectful of that. But with me talking about it, I've been getting really great responses from people that have maybe walked in my shoes and are experiencing the things that I'm going through, and then can help. I think the thing when going through awful stuff, the one thing we want to know is that we're just not alone. That's all. And the thing that's helped me, I did this group meditation a couple weeks ago for a friend's birthday, and the guide kept saying, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And like, it was like a hug I needed to hear, because even if it's not going to be okay, like, hearing it'll be okay is weird, and helped in some weird way, in some weird, strange way.
Yeah, and I love, what gives me comfort. Everyone's different, but what gives me comfort is to focus on the beauty in even darkest moments, right? And the love and support and the prayers we have received from, of course, from family and friends, including you, Erin. You've been such a constant support, but from total strangers is so special and beautiful. And I want to reflect on that and remember that, because we always hear the negatives of like social media, right?
Right.
It's a double-edged sword. Of course, social media can bring connectivity and advocacy and information, but it can also bring, a lot of negative vitriol online. Well, in this situation, and I've seen it with you, Erin, when you just recently posted all the love and support from people that love you, but then from people that don't know you personally, but their love for you and your situation here. And they are praying for you, and they're thinking of you, and they're holding you close to their hearts. And that is incredible. So if I were to look back on this past year, even though there's been so much heartache, I am so in awe in humanity, and my faith in humanity is restored. And I just have so much gratitude to everyone out there that has taken a moment from their own crazy lives and their own trauma, because 2020 and 2021 have been hard for so many people, and they have offered their support to our family, and a lot of people have shared the trauma that they're going through. And I hope I was able to, and I'll write back, and I hope I'm able to somehow be an advocate or a support to them. And I think we need more of that in today's day and age, and I'm just so grateful for it. And it's definitely been the one thing that I feel like has kept my family going. And I'm just so, and I know Eric can't talk right now, but I know that when he was able to talk after he was improving after the double lung transplant, he was so in awe. He could not believe the love and support for him. So that's beautiful. And I think I just want to focus on that sometimes,
It's a reminder there are a lot of good people in this world, especially when you like for me, the emotions that keep coming up are I'm super angry, I'm super resentful. I ask the question why. I have like this victim mentality, like why us again? We just did this a year ago. I'm not trying to plan another funeral. Um, and you get really sad and depressed, and then you get reminded of the goodness in life when my friend, I told you, my girlfriend Clody, who literally calls and talks to the nurse to try to, and she's an ER doctor, so she knows all of this, and she's been a wonderful person in my corner. You've been so great, and so there's so many people that reach out, but it's funny because you do get fatigued. Like I get fatigued. So many people are amazing and they reach out, and then I see why people update through an email because you're answering so many questions because people genuinely want to know when they care, and you're like, I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted, I don't want to answer any more questions.
Right. And my sister's going through that. You're closer to your situation being right there, so people look to you for the answers because they know you're in it, right? And I'll get them too, but the difference is I do have those daily updates on that GoFundMe because we have been very forthright about it. You're holding it very close to your heart in respect to your father, and that's another weight on you because you have to answer everybody one by one. But yeah, it's exhausting. And I know my sister, it's exhausting for her. You're dealing with your own emotions. You're dealing with the nurses and the doctors, and then maybe telling one or two people, especially your mom or your advocate, the ER nurse, and then all of a sudden you get 17 supportive text messages. How's he doing? How are you doing? And it's exhausting. And Erin, you have to give yourself grace. You don't have to answer every text message.
No, I know.
Yes, you don't have to. People are there for you, and just know they're there for you. That's all that matters. We are here for you. We love you, and we're praying. But you just focus on you, and you don't have to do it all.
I love you, girl. I love you so much.
I love you too. And if I can just say because I've been reading some of your amazing, comments to everybody out there praying and sending good love and energy. Thank you. And I know that it's a difficult time for a lot of people, and just know that you're not alone. Right, Erin? You're not alone.
I know. I'm not. I understand. I feel that. I even though I feel so alone because I love him so much. He's so amazing. I know there's a lot of really amazing support, and people want to help. They want to find ways of help. And that's the other thing that's really hard. And I'm going to let you go because I know you have things to do, but it's accepting help, which is something that I'm really bad at. I don't want to inconvenience people, but people want to help, but I'm I don't want to make you have to drive so far. So,
Yep. Erin, just love on your dad, giving him all my good energy. Focus on the big picture, despite whatever prognoses they give you. Just continue to focus on. I really do believe in envisioning, manifestation, and prayer, and just focus on you and him going to Soul Bank, okay? And
I love you. Yes.
Hold that to your heart. I love you so much. I want to thank your sponsor. They sent me and, I'm not trying to do a shameless plug. I really am grateful for the amazing gear they sent me. It's soft, it's cute, it's cozy, it has pockets. And I just want to thank them because it's thoughtful of them to think of me and send me the clothes, the athleisure wear. So I just thank you, and I love you, and I'm sending you all my good energy. And you got to squeeze from me, okay? I love you.
Friend, I love you so much. I'm so grateful to you. I'm glad you like the gear. It is very cute and very comfortable. And I will talk to you soon. Okay?
Okay.
Love you, babe. Bye.
Bye.